I'm Richard Pyatt. Welcome to BC City Connection. It's the official podcast from City Hall, city of Battle Creek, Michigan. Glad to have you with us. We invite you to subscribe to this podcast where you get them. Just type in BC City Connection. You'll see that come up and that little subscribe button, and then you'll be alerted when we have a new episode for you, and there'll be more of them coming in the year of 2026. Looking forward to that. You are probably familiar with those emergency sirens, if only for the tests that they do regularly, and we hear them, but on occasion they do what they're supposed to do, and they alert us to an emergency. Here to talk about that is Brett White. He oversees logistics at the Community Emergency Response Team. It's known as CERT. Hello, Brett.
Hello. How are you doing today, Richard?
Great. Thank you for this update. You know, I think this is one of those things that people always wonder about. You know, you hear those sirens tested, hopefully more tested than for real reasons, quote unquote, real reasons. But we know they're there, but we don't really know a whole lot about them. Turns out there are several of them, are there not, around the county to make sure that we all hear them.
Yeah, that's correct. There's actually there's 38 sirens around the county. The last count there, and 10 within the city limits of Battle Creek. So those are the ones that we actually test those every single month, the first Saturday of every month at 1 p.m.
That's a statewide protocol, isn't it? I remember living elsewhere as a kid and hearing it at the same times.
Yeah, at least for Calhoun County and several other counties, there are a few counties in the state that maybe don't practice it, or they do it not as frequently. But Calhoun County practices that every month.
And it's important to do so. Why?
Just to test the functionality. You don't want to wait until there's something pressing or a severe weather event headed your way, and then find out that those sirens are failing. So if you find out ahead of time, you're able to take measures to make repairs or replacements.
And that's when you know, is it true, that when there's an issue with them, it'll surface during those tests? Is that right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. They're set off the exact same way, whether it's a test or whether it's a severe weather event. They get set off the same way, and then we have amateur radio folks that are local, and then we send those out to each location throughout the city and county, and we poll each station after the sirens sound, and take the results, and then we report those to the emergency management or the municipality where those sirens lie.
Okay. When we hear those, they seem to kind of go in and out, right? They're actually spinning on a post, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Most of them do rotate. There are some that are stationary. Just depends on make and model and where they're at. But they do rotate.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because sometimes if you're hearing one of those that spins and rotates, then it's kind of like somebody standing in front of you talking, but they're turning in circles.
Right.
So they're talking at you, so to speak, when they're facing you, but when they're not, then you hear the sound differently. And it seems to be that's how we hear a lot of those.
Yes. Yep. That's sure the case. Depending on conditions outside too, that can impact like if it's calm outside, you might be able to, or which way the direction the wind's going, you might be able to hear one stronger than the other, or you might where's that coming from? It just depends. That also plays a role in it.
All right. Now, what we really want to make sure folks understand is that you're paying attention to the status of operations on those sirens, and there is such a thing as a project that's come together to maintain them, maybe even replace them if needed. What's that all about?
Yeah, so basically, I'm going to look at my note here. It's basically called the Siren Activation Project. It's funded through Safeguarding Tomorrow, a revolving loan funding program. So what that's being used there's an opportunity across the state. It's also being utilized with county and city. In the city, so with the 10 sirens, we're using funds to repair or replace the ones that might have, that we've been having issues with. Some of the ones like, I-94 rest stop and Washington School, some of these ones that we've continued to have issues with, those are being addressed, and we work with the vendor that helps out from the state and to get those fixed or repaired.
Yeah, and we have aging infrastructure with these things, don't we? They've been around a while.
Yeah, some of them are as old as they're from the 50s, 50s and 60s era. So, if you do the math, some of them are, encroaching on like 70 years old. So, those electronics and those sirens are some of the components. They're just not made to last that long. So they need to be replaced, and they're pretty expensive for upkeep and replacement.
Wow, 70 years those sirens have been in operation. That's incredible. We presume that there's been some kind of maintenance to them over that stretch of time, or do they just keep on keeping on?
Yeah, they're really robust, right? So yes, there is maintenance that again, that's why we go out and check those every month. And then if there is an issue with one, if it's not if it doesn't function for a month or two, again, it's not like we're just letting it go by the wayside. Those activities for the sirens at each location, those do get reported. We send them into emergency management, and then we'll also get it reported to the vendor and get someone dispatched out to assess it and then hopefully repair it.
Yeah, so this is the typical protocol. You have a third party who helps you sort these things out.
Yeah, that's correct. There's a West Shore. They're the vendor for the sirens. Believe most of the state, if not the whole state. So you can imagine, it's a lot for them. So you have to work on getting the quotes and get the timing of when they can come out, type thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that takes some of the pressure off of the city and the county to have to deal with those all on their own. So this outdoor warning siren activation project, as you said, avails itself of low-interest loans. I think that's a federal program, the Safeguarding Tomorrow Revolving Loan Fund program, to try and upgrade these. What do you expect to happen as a result of that? Are we replacing some or fixing some? What's the purview you have?
Well, the answer to that question is yes. Some of the ones have been replaced over the years, and they're deemed in good condition. They'll come out and evaluate each site, and then they'll update whether the electronics need to get updated. So that's the other side of it too. They're also planning on within through calendar year, through next year. The plan is to upgrade the electronics in those siren sites. So like the Calhoun County Consolidated Dispatch, they would be able to trigger those sirens and actually be able to do them in quadrants. So be able to if watching the weather, say there's a weather event on the northwest corner of the of the county, is there really a need to set those sirens off down, say, in Homer or something like that? So it gives us more ability to react to what's actually going on.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and currently, or at least the prior purview mode of operation would have been to sound an alarm across the whole county, even when maybe the storm is just clipping a certain section of the county.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Well, better safe than sorry, I suppose. That purview is such that if everybody took cover but not everybody was affected, that might be a good thing. But I think you work from the other side of that too, don't you? That someone who hears a siren, takes cover, but never has a significant storm go by, then begins to wonder about the effectiveness of the siren, right? So this helps focus that in a better way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. Yep. It just, it makes, I guess, like for the public and people that are involved, it gives you more of a sense that if it's going off, it's going off of where that storm's at. Like we were saying, like if it went off in the southeast corner down in Homer, for example, and the skies are blue, right, and there's nothing coming. People are like, then they're questioning, these are just going off for the heck of it again. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not 1 p.m. Saturday, so that
Right.
means that means that it's not for the heck of it. It means something. But
Exactly.
boy, this is terrific technology, though, to be able to zero in and alert in a more targeted way. So you said emergency management will be able to sort those out, sound them in the right places. That's not the way it works now, or does emergency management just flip the switch?
No, it does. It's supposed to work like that, and then
Okay.
it does. They get set off from Calhoun County Consolidated Dispatch.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, so yeah, that's where it gets set off. Uh, they try it's so right now there's a difference whether it's they're set off like with like VHF, more of an RF type triggering system to
Okay.
sound them off. It's going to go to like a two-way, more of a robust digital two-way. So that's one of the main updates to our current system. So it'll be a more robust way to set off those sections.
Yeah, think of it as the difference between communications of yesterday and communications of today. I mean,
Right.
man, this is a huge difference. I suppose it also is related to mention that the county and the city both, and CERT oversees this, or at least is involved in it to some extent, will uh, send an alert to you. Talk about advanced and modern communications. If you sign up for alerts, you can get them directly to your phone. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, so the county, you can get county ones, city ones. They'll send you weather alerts. I mean, it's amazing, as to the technology. So you can get, we get traffic alerts and weather and just missing, missing folks, stuff like that. Just the technologies there. They're able to put the information in and text it out to like the folks that subscribe to it, and it just blasts it out there along with social media. So it gets the word out there fast.
Yeah, that's a marvelous point. So you can sign up for those text alerts if you want them. They'll come across your phone when they're sent. Or I've done this too, where I've signed up by email and I see exactly what you're talking about. I see all the traffic alerts and law enforcement alerts and other things that the county and city would like to impart to folks. And it's terrific. It comes right to you when you need to know it. And that's a terrific thing. And all you have to do is sign up for that. So we'll put the links to those things in the show notes for this episode so you can click through and sign up if that's what you'd like to do. And all of these things, it's just a terrific technology that's emerging. And here we are talking about 70-year-old sirens to texts to your phone. So this is a huge gamut of technology that we're talking about. And it sounds, Brett, as though these siren situations are really going to start moving in the direction of technology, and we'll have some big updates.
Yes, that's exactly right. The one thing too, so the outdoor warning sirens are, meant to be just that, right? They're not meant to wake you out of a dead sleep in the middle of the night. They're meant for people that are outdoors that, they're out. It's an outdoor warning siren, so just you need to have other things available to you. If you're in your home, weather radios. Those are real key, or have alerts set up again on your on your phones. But just having and just situational awareness. Pay attention. Look at the weather forecaster. The forecastings come a long ways, and you can see like the Storm Prediction Center. They can give you a pretty good heads up, a couple days, 2-3 days out that, they're pretty good at predicting it when we're going to get severe weather.
Yeah, we do learn about these things a lot sooner, most of the time at least, and then these other kinds of alerts are great ways to stay in touch. And that's a great point that I didn't think about. The sirens that we're talking about, if you're inside with the TV on or the radio on or some such thing, you may not hear those.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the intent. That's not their intent. They've always been meant, to give people outside, a heads up. Something's going on. Take cover, or to pay. Get to where you need to go. But basically to take cover. There's something imminent coming.
All right. Before we go, Brett, just talk a little bit about what the Community Emergency Response Team CERT is meant to do.
Yeah, so Community Emergency Response Team. So for Calhoun County, basically the whole, we have one CERT for the entire county. We always support Marshall and Battle Creek around the county, but we help out at all the public, like the public events, the air show, the breakfast table, 5Ks. We help out with just help people. We help the police with traffic. So
it's not always about emergencies.
No, it's not. It's to support. We're here to support public service. So it's a 20-hour hands-on textbook course that is a FEMA recognized course. So we do that 1 to 2 times a year, and we go through that and get people involved. So we have like 12 to 15 dedicated folks right now. It kind of goes up and down, but that's usually our core group, and then we're able to help out.
Wow. So if someone wanted to join that force and be a part of that, they could apply?
Yes. Yep. They sure can. So it's open to anybody. We put it out it'll get put out on social media. City will put out an announcements, but we'll have one in the spring. And it's usually local, we'll hold it at like the Department of Public Works building or somewhere along those lines. But yeah, it's anyone can get involved, but we'll put it out, a month ahead of time. Usually get up to like 20 to 30 people.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So another communications vehicle is social media, of course. If you follow the Calhoun County social media platforms, City of Battle Creek,
yes,
you'll see these alerts, as well as opportunities like joining the CERT team. Brett, this has been really interesting. Appreciate the update. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Richard.
Brett White oversees logistics for CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team in Battle Creek and Calhoun County. Thanks for joining us on the BC City Connection.